VikesNow, I am Dustin Baker. We are kicking it 1 week away from the NFL draft. At this time, 1 week from now, you'll be kicking it, waiting to see who the Vikings bring home. Hopefully they make a selection on night number 1. They've done it before where they trade out and you got to wait. Been a while since they've done that, but we shall see. What I want to discuss tonight is the top 8 Vikings draft pick possibilities. This one's really, really tough to predict. I went on record last night on VikingsTerritory.com that left up to me. I would draft Omarion Hampton. That would be my selection to once and for all fix the Vikings' rushing problems under Kevin O'Connell. Might have a separate show about that endorsement. But let's go through some of the predictive stuff. Who we think the Vikings will draft, the 8 most probable. I'm going to start, like I do usually, at the bottom of my list. Number 8, a defensive tackle from Ole Miss. Walter Nolan is the 8th most likely Viking to be drafted. Most likely player to be drafted by the Vikings in round 1 or after a trade back. Nolan is 21 years old, is a 3-technique pass rusher from the inside of the Vikings, the would-be Vikings defensive line. And he's at number 8 for me because I do think that they will ultimately select a defensive tackle. I've been thinking a lot about cornerback and, of course, offensive line. But I don't think Nolan will be there at pick number 24. I think he's more likely to fly off the board before 24. Maybe the Steelers if they don't end up getting a quarterback. But Walter Nolan has the upside of a not a big body guy, more of a 3-tech. And I just think that the Vikings are hell-bent on building the trenches this offseason. They've shown it through an evidence of their work. And Nolan, to me, is number 8. And I'd be totally fine with this pick. Number 7 is probably my second favorite dude for the Vikings to pick at number 24. Jahdae Barron, University of Texas. Almost every cornerback after Travis Hunter and Will Johnson has something wrong with them. Siobhan Revell, who I'll talk about later, is 24. Benjamin Morrison is coming back from a hip injury. And then guys like Maxwell Hairston and Trey Amos might be best served as like round 2 draft picks. And so for the Vikings' sake, the only guy who has pristine stock, he's not crazy old, he's not hurt, he's not a second rounder, is Jahdae Barron. But that comes at a price. I'm going to guess he'll be gone by pick number 24. If he's not, I hope the Vikings stick and pick. But for me, he is the 7th most likely most likely draft pick rookie to be drafted by these Vikings. He also has the versatility to play all over a secondary, which should be music to the ears of Brian Flores. Number 6 is Malachi Starks. I still need convincing that the Vikings would draft a safety. I just don't consider that spot a very premium position. Almost always during free agency, during the middle of a regular season, there are about 3 or 4 safeties you could just go sign at will. And to me, it's never an urgent-ass priority to sign a safety. But I do know Harrison Smith's only got about a year left, and then Cameron Bynum departed this offseason. So there is some credence to the fact that Malachi Starks and a safety could be the pick. This one would be especially goofy because it'd be another Georgia safety from round 1. We would hope that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah got it right this time, but he's at number 6 for me. And to go at number 5 real quick, because the exact same argument, Nick Emanwari, a safety from South Carolina. Same thing. I get this guy is probably more of a typical safety. Like the more Nick Emanwari has the physicality and the pass coverage, whereas Starks might be more ferocious at stopping the run. With Emanwari, I would be okay with this. I would warm up to it. I think he's about the 5th most likely player to be drafted by the Vikings. He also has age on his side. He's 21. The last 3 first-rounders drafted by Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are 21 years old, all from big, reputable schools. Nick Emanwari would fit that to an extent at age 21 and from South Carolina. So I really don't think the Vikings will draft a safety. I know that's what national mock draft experts and pundits are thinking. I still don't see it on a safety. I think you have Harrison Smith, Josh Metellus, Theo Jackson, Jay Ward. Usually you only need 2 safeties on your depth chart to feel good about it. The Vikings have 3 right now. Even when Harrison Smith retires in 9 or 10 months, you're still going to have Theo Jackson, who they have high hopes for, and Josh Metellus. I don't know why NFL punditry has decided the Vikings need 3 safeties. They're like the only team that has that requirement, evidently. Number 4 is Kenneth Grant, J.J. McCarthy's teammate at Michigan in 2023. I have not settled on a final Vikings draft prediction, but Kenneth Grant is definitely in my top 2. He might be the guy I lock in come, Tuesday next week or so. But Kenneth Grant, unlike Walter Nolan, is a big-bodied nose tackle type defensive tackle, and he can rush the passer. He might need a little refinement on that. Defensive tackles are notorious. They take a couple years to develop. We already know that Kenneth Grant can stuff the run. He's got the body for it. He has the skill set. And I estimate him as the 4th most likely rookie to be drafted by these Vikings, and you're probably going to have to stick and pick at number 24 to draft Kenneth Grant. And wouldn't you know it, he is also 21 years old. Not the ridiculousness. Like the next guy, number 3 for me, in terms of predicting the Vikings draft pick, is Siobhan Revell Jr. from East Carolina. I have undergone an odyssey with Siobhan Revell. If you watch the show semi-religiously, we used to every Wednesday have Josh Fry on here, and he's a draft head. And he was telling me about Siobhan Revell. The guy is overlooked because he's from East Carolina. Nobody knows what that school is. He is coming off a torn ACL. I was like, you know what? Kwesi Adofo-Mensah can overlook that. The whole free agent period in March was about taking gambles on guys that had, recent injuries. So I had warmed up to Siobhan Revell from a predictive standpoint and, a preference, me wanting the guy. But then last weekend, I accidentally stumbled on the fact that Siobhan Revell's already 24 years old. And ultimately, I could figure out a way where that wouldn't bother me so much. But the way I look at it is when you're going into this pretty pivotal draft where you consider your team a Super Bowl contender, you can draft any rookie in the United States. Why would you electively choose the oldest rookie that there is? It's my same argument with Hendon Hooker when we had all that fuss in which one was that? Was that 2023? Yeah, the 2023 NFL draft. Remember when Hooker got talked into round 1 and it was like, hey, the Vikings are going to get him. I was like, no, that dude is 24. You have all of these options. You have 32 first rounders to choose from. Another 32 in the second round. Out of all those 64 guys, why would you go pick the single oldest guy as your rookie? I like the other way of doing it with Kwesi when he gets the younger 21-year-olds. Ultimately, Siobhan Revell, I'm poo-pooing on him here. He does have the talent, the skill set, the size, everything to be a very good cornerback. I would just rather them have Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson falls. Certainly, if they're going to get Siobhan Revell, I hope they can trade back several spots and still get him. And then I will just have to deal with it that he's already 24 years old. It's the same thing happened with Mekhi Blackman 2 drafts ago. For some reason, when we get to the middle rounds, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah does not care about age. And so Mekhi Blackman is now 26 years old. And to me, he still feels like we just got him. But Mekhi Blackman, because he was an old rookie, 26 years old. Kyrie Jackson was also an old rookie. Rest in peace. Number 3 for me is Siobhan Revell in terms of likelihood. Number 2, he might be the favorite among Vikings fans. I think a lot of it has to do with geographic proximity. Number 2 is Gray Zabel, interior offensive lineman, who can essentially play every single damn offensive line position that there is. I take stock and credence in knowing that these Vikings have elected to fix the offensive line systematically with the acquisitions of Will Fries and Ryan Kelly at center. I'm starting to believe that they will go for the trifecta in terms of interior offensive line reform. Right now, the easiest way to do that outside of signing Will Hernandez or Shaq Mason or Brandon Scherf from free agency would be to draft Tyler Booker, who had a shitty RAS score, trade back and get Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, or stick and pick with Gray Zabel at number 24. Now, I am not convinced that Gray, if you watched the episode with Paul Allen a week ago, he had heard that Gray Zabel could be talked way the hell up the draft board and therefore be gone in the top 15 or top 20. I have a hard time believing that Zabel will slip past the Seahawks, who do need a guard at number 18. But if they do, if Zabel gets past the Seahawks and everybody else, number 24, I have a hard time envisioning the Vikings trading out of the pick if Zabel is on the board. Therefore, he makes it as number 2 on my most likely Vikings to be drafted list of 2025. Number 1, with a fake drum roll, is Oregon defensive tackle Derek Harmon. Here is why I settled on him as the most likely rookie to be drafted by the Vikings. I think there is a world that if they enjoy Harmon, they probably do because they spent a top 30 visit on him. There is a world where A, you can stick at number 24 and draft Harmon outright and prosper. That's your draft pick. We'll see you again in the third round when we pick 97th. Otherwise, you can probably dip back into that 30th, 31st, or 32nd spot, which is, Bills, Chiefs, and Eagles. If one of those teams need a wide receiver, or the Eagles want to get Malachi Starks because they like every Georgia guy ever born, I think there is an avenue to trade back, but still remain in round one and also get Derek Harmon. Now, depending on who you talk to, you might say that, and they'll say, "Hey, there's no way in hell Derek Harmon's getting past 24." I think there is a way that he does, and if Kwesi wants to get maybe one extra third rounder or a couple fourth rounders or something like that by trading down later into round one, Derek Harmon would satisfy those needs. So you've got a lot of things going for the case for Harmon. You can perhaps trade back and still get him. You can organically stay at 24, and I think certainly get him. He's 21. He fits the Kwesi Adofo-Mensah age profile. He's from Oregon, a humongous, notable school. And the Vikings, the defensive tackle spot is fine right now. Javon Hargrave, fantastic. Jonathan Allen, we'll take it. Harrison Phillips, Jalen Redmond, UFL, tackle for loss savant. But this draft and every draft is about looking in 2 and 3 years into the future. So if you think about what you want the 2027 Vikings to look like, there's a good chance you're thinking a lot more about Derek Harmon than you are Javon Hargrave. So I believe a defensive tackle will likely be the draft pick, and because of the things I just mentioned, Derek Harmon is probably the most likely guy. All right, we will be back soon. I will get on record a formal draft prediction, and then maybe even the draft endorsement, although I already buried the lead there. Or I guess I should say I gave myself a spoiler, and Omarion Hampton is the running back. He's the guy I'd like the Vikings to draft in round one if he's available. All right, we'll talk to you guys and gals soon. Skol, baby.